Notion started as a simple note-taking app, but it evolved into a full workspace solution that is used by over 35 million people today. But the question is, how do they grow from a niche tool into something that is used by tons of project management teams across the globe? In this video, we'll be talking about how Notion built a great product and used some very unique strategies such as influencer marketing and growth techniques to be able to expand their product and become one of the major players in the software industry. Notion was originally founded in 2013, and they actually pivoted products a little bit until 2018 when they finally had their breakout. They went from just being a note-taking tool to becoming an all-encompassing suite where people could manage their full end-to-end projects. Whether that's small projects like your daily to-do tasks or bigger things like full enterprise projects, you're able to do it all in Notion. And the flexibility of templates that you have and the different types of formats that you can use really make the tool something special. The magic of Notion lies in its modularity. At its core, Notion is built around a few key building blocks: pages, databases, tables, and templates. The modular system that they have basically enables you to build any sort of custom workflow that you might want to use to whatever your project management needs are. And like we talked about, one of the biggest things with Notion is the fact that their actual product has a great user experience. Let's take a look at some of the key features that made Notion stand out. Kind of like we touched on before, the modular pages and blocks enable you to build any sort of custom workflow that you need. You're able to take tables, sheets, note-taking workspaces, and more, and put them all into one file or multiple workspaces. A lot of other project management tools honestly can't do this. I've used things like Smartsheet or OneNote that really struggle with some of the basics. Smartsheet, for example, just doesn't have a good note-taking application, and OneNote doesn't have the flexibility of other data formats like tables, etc. In addition, Notion also has really powerful database functionalities. So unlike some of these more simple tools that are just note-taking applications, you're able to do actually complex calculations that you can use to generate team reports as well. And in addition to having sheets that you can use for databases, you can also customize the view to different things like tables, Kanban boards, etc. I use the Kanban boards almost daily to track my to-do tasks outside of work. So not only do I use it in work, I use it outside of work for my daily life as well. One of the third features that really makes Notion special is their templates. Nowadays, a lot of people have actually made a ton of money selling Notion templates because it's really a full playbook to get you started on a business or a project. The customizability that we talked about, from tables to worksheets to note-taking applications to even business plans, etc., means that you can really have the full business suite in one place. If you want to turn a one-pager that you have for a strategy doc into some actual timelines and tables to track that initiative from the time it goes from idea to execution, you're able to do that all in one place. And you can find a ton of templates that you can not only use for yourself, but replicate and send to other people as well. Another piece is the collaborative workspaces. So just like with some of these other project management tools, Notion has a lot of power to collaborate with other users. And really what you're able to do is segment those out so people have different sets of permissions. This means that if you're all working on a project and tracking timelines together, you can all do it in one place. One of the things that makes Notion stand out a little bit more is the personalization as well. Right when you set up your first workspace, you'll actually see that they have a ton of things like emojis and special notes for you to track your individual items, which can make the tool feel a little bit informal, but actually does make it feel more homely for you to use. The thing is, with a tool like this, having a lot of features isn't enough. A lot of the times you actually have to have a really good user journey too, which enables you to guide people from casual use to deeper engagement. See, most people start with simple tasks like a to-do list or just a note-taking sheet, and as they sort of grow into the environment, they'll start to tack on more useful features. Whether that's things like the tables, whether that's things like the shared views, etc., people will naturally find themselves expanding their overall suite, which makes them more ingrained into the environment. Notion actually also uses in-product prompts and email templates to keep users using the product and getting more ingrained. This way they can positively reinforce people who are within the platform and guide them to the next piece of the tool. Now, this is not a Notion ad. Again, this is a deep dive into how the tool has grown, but if you've been on YouTube in the past couple of years, you've probably seen an ad for Notion somewhere. Some influencer is telling you that, hey, Notion is great. And the reality is, it is. But Notion's growth strategy has actually been really unique in the fact that they've targeted influencer marketing as a project management tool. Oftentimes, enterprise or business solutions don't go about this approach, but the reality is that it's worked pretty well for Notion. One of the most successful pieces of this was the Notion Ambassador Program. When they launched pretty early on, they actually invited passionate users to create things like templates or tools or advertisements to show how well they were doing. If you go on YouTube, you can find user guides that have hundreds of thousands or even millions of views that are simply telling you how to use the tool. These ambassadors played a pretty pivotal role in the tool's growth because they were able to do it through organic, community-led content. In addition, like we talked about, there's a ton of people that are also selling Notion templates as well, which is just another way that the tool was able to organically grow. This is what's called user-generated content, where the people are actually relying mainly on other users to create the necessary assets for growing the business. The company doesn't have to worry about creating the perfect user experience for millions of users because they can enable it to do it for themselves and help each other. The reality is, with knowledge-based tools or project management tools, people often like to work in their own unique way. Even if they're doing the same job and they're on the same team, they might want to see information different ways. So this template sharing system really made it easy for them to take their individual workflow, tweak it just a little bit, and share it with other people to see what worked for them. For Notion's influencer marketing, they also built really strong relationships with a lot of creators who actually had passions for the tool. Creators like Ali Abdaal and Thomas Frank actually created tutorials that showed how to use the platform, which made it really popular from the get-go. That way people were able to use it for day-to-day applications in addition to those enterprise workspaces. So one of the interesting aspects of product growth is pricing. People are always wondering what is the right price to start out with, especially when you have an enterprise-based tool. It's hard to know how much businesses will actually pay for it. In addition, with Notion's growth strategy and taking a sort of hybrid approach between a consumer-based tool where they do influencer marketing and go direct to individuals and enterprise-based strategy, you kind of have to create a tiered basis of pricing, one for individual users and one for enterprise, which a lot of software solutions do. But Notion took a little bit of a unique approach to this as well. They lean pretty heavily into the freemium model, which a lot of companies use, which is starting people off on the free tier of business and then giving them more premium features once they pay for a license. So a lot of the basic features like Sheets, etc. are available for free within Notion, but to really start expanding it and start sharing it with other people, that's when they have to start paying for a license. Now, licenses honestly aren't very expensive to start off. If you're doing a small business license, it could be anything like $15 to $20 a month, which isn't really a lot when you have it per seat. This is a very product-led growth strategy where people are able to get into the tool for free and then have to upgrade a little bit with additional seats as well. As people get more and more ingrained into the product and their workflows get more complex, they naturally end up needing to expand to that free license. When you put this into the context of a business case, a lot of the times you'll see users want to buy one license after another, which is how they do that sort of land and expand growth within business teams. So if they're trying to sell enterprise licenses, they'll start by giving people a group of them for free, letting them sort of share reports, etc. And eventually they'll hit the limit and need to buy a couple of licenses. From there, they can then justify selling licenses for a whole team or a whole business unit, and it just continues expanding from there. The result is that Notion has grown to over 35 million users as of September 2024 and is continuing to grow pretty fast. By focusing on a product that has natural growth strategies built into it and leaning into more influencer marketing rather than just direct paid ads, Notion is able to keep its cost of acquiring customers relatively low and enable them to expand organically and at a rate that they would like to maintain. This strategy, in addition to that freemium model, turned Notion into one of the most successful software products of the last decade. So what can product managers and founders learn from Notion's success? The first thing is that you have to build a product that solves real problems and also keep flexibility in mind. Even if you have the perfect workflow, not every user is going to want to use your application the same way. And so you have to keep this sort of flexibility and modularity at the key of any sort of business software. The second thing is to focus on distribution. In 2024, distribution is more important than having a good product for a consumer-led startup. Distribution is more important than product for most consumer and B2B products. The reality is if you don't have a good distribution strategy, you're going to suffer in getting people to want to use the platform, which makes it harder and harder to retain and grow on to the next customer. So you really have to think about how you can put good growth strategies in. And finally, think about the freemium model and let your product lead people from the free to paid journey naturally by getting them introduced onto the product and then having them graduate onto the more premium features. And that's it for today's video. We're going to be doing more deep dives on successful products in this channel. And if you found this deep dive helpful, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching.